Today I wanted to talk a little bit about protein powder. In a recent video, I said that I was going to try to stop using protein powder and instead switch that part of my diet to more whole foods, more whole sources of protein. But over the past week or so, I kind of changed my mind. So at least for the near future, I'm going to continue taking protein powder. I wanted to explain why I came to that conclusion, what my opinions are, because I will most likely be showing myself eating protein, and so I wanted to explain why the change. And just to be clear, these are only my opinions, they're my conclusions. If you feel strongly that you don't want to take protein powder, I'm in 100% support of your conclusions. These are just what I've decided, given where I am today. I'm going to continue taking protein powder. So when I started considering this, I decided to do some research, and I found a number of articles online, a number of websites that talk about the pros and cons of supplementing with protein. And I printed one out and I brought it with me so that I can refer to it. This article is pretty typical of what I've seen. This one specifically is from Harvard Health Publishing, Harvard Medical School. The title of the article is "The Hidden Dangers of Protein Powders." The article starts by explaining what protein powder is, and that the main sources of protein for protein powders are usually either plants, eggs, or milk. The first risk identified in this article is related to the fact that protein powder is considered a supplement, and because of that, it's not regulated by the FDA. Basically, it leaves it up to the manufacturers to tell you what's in the product. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of scary. What's to stop a manufacturer from putting completely false information or hiding information on the label about what's in their product? The second risk factor that they list, and I'm going to read it, says, "We don't know the long-term effects. There are limited data on the possible side effects of high protein intake from supplements." There's a couple key words in there that I find question in. I do believe protein powders have been used for quite a while now. I don't have the specific numbers, but if it was a major problem, a major health risk, I think we would have discovered more by now. I could be wrong, and that's not very scientific of me, I know. But the second part of this says the possible side effects of high protein intake. They don't explain what they mean by high protein intake. Most protein powders that I've seen have anywhere between like 10 and 30 grams of protein per scoop or per serving. And again, it's also relative. How much you weigh, how much strength training or weightlifting you're doing. Right now, I'm trying to target about 100 grams of protein per day. So if my protein powder even has 20 or 30 grams of protein, that's not even approaching half of my protein. If instead you're using protein powder as like your exclusive source of protein, then yeah, that's probably not the best thing to do, and you should have a bigger variety of foods, definitely. So they really should have been more clear about what they mean by high protein intake. But again, I don't believe that a serving or even two would be considered high protein intake from protein powder. The third risk factor says it may cause digestive distress. People with dairy allergies or trouble digesting lactose, milk sugar, can experience gastrointestinal discomfort if they use a milk-based protein powder. Okay, wow. What if you don't? What if you don't have any discomfort? What if you're not lactose intolerant? What if you try plant-based protein powders. I mean, it sounds like they're trying to raise an alarm that doesn't need to be raised. I hope it would go without saying that if you're taking a milk-based protein powder and you're having digestive issues every time you take it, you may want to stop taking it. So that's just like, if. It doesn't bother me. So I scratched that one off the list completely. The fourth risk factor says it may be high in added sugars and calories. It may be, and it may not be. And even if it is, I say that's the consumer's responsibility. Look at the labels. Look at the calories. Do you know what you're eating? Do you know how many calories are in it? Do you know how much sugar is in it? How much sugar do you want in your diet? If it has a lot of sugar, don't use it. And then the last risk factor is actually separated off into like its own paragraph, and that's titled "A New Risk Revealed." And it basically goes on to talk about what I think relates back to the first risk, which is that manufacturers don't have to accurately or honestly list what's in their product because they're not regulated by the FDA. This goes on to say that there could be toxins, there could be heavy metals, various things in the protein powders, and since they're not regulated, you don't know what you're getting. But they pointed to a project, it's called the Clean Label Project, and I found this online. I'll put the link to the Clean Label Project and also a link to this article in the description. But what they did is they took, I don't know, it was 130 different protein powders or something like that, and they ran them through an analysis to determine what is actually in the protein powders, and then they ranked them. There's a quick list that shows the 5 best proteins and the 5 worst proteins, and you can see which of them contain, you know, toxins, like I said, heavy metals, their protein content, that sort of thing. And so I really think that's the best approach to take, is that if you have decided to take protein powder, you should at least look at a list like this the Clean Label Project, and see what they came up with is in the protein powder that you're using, and maybe switch it up if you'd rather go with something cleaner. And so that's exactly what I did. I went through the list of the top 5 protein powders. I saw what they came up with in their testing, and then I also considered price, and I picked one of the protein powders, mainly because they had a sugar-free version, actually sugar-free vanilla and sugar-free chocolate. So I actually just today placed an order for 1 container of each of those. I'll put the name of the protein powder that I came up with in the description in case anybody's interested. So anyway, that's what I've decided to do. I'm going to continue using protein powder, at least for the near term, but I wanted to put this video out there to explain my thought process on it and why I changed my mind, because you'll be seeing me using protein powder in upcoming videos. So anyway, that's what I've decided to do. I just really wanted to put it out there so that people knew why I was still using protein powder when I had said freaking bug almost went in my mouth.